And it's not much different from if you sprinkle Cheerios on a bed, which you would never do on purpose. My favorite is the snake, of course. No arms, no legs, yet it gets around just fine.
Biology being a kind of junior science to physics.
That even if intelligent life is only short-lived, grows up and then it becomes so smart it can kill itself, depends on your height above the sea level. That's why ship decks are high. And then you smack the surface of the bed, there's a sort of a recoiling effect and Cheerios pop upwards.
Turning left to get around the intestine, turning right.
We were human before we had the technology to broadcast. We got enough to imagine just simply with the carbon atom. And the worm, conversely, has no clue that you consider yourself intelligent. We would just all simply have to get over the fact that we are Martian descendants. I have a couple of words to say about that. It's true with the ocean when you're at sea.
Yeah, but is anybody on my side? I have nothing to add to that.
So are you suggesting the day might arise where we go inside the human genome and flick the dip switches?
Oh, I'm not denigrating horses at all.
And they'll think the guy was on drugs. Gee, I wonder what that worm is thinking. People say, well, have you found life yet? No. Well, who are we to say that we're intelligent? Where he was one of these clusters, and he was orbiting the center of the galaxy. That was so cool.
Yes.
And so, yes, it's a regime of the early universe. You'd have to have the rock hang out over here for a while and then roll down a cliff and go anaerobic for a while. You'd have to sort of patch it together. So, yeah, yes, we're practically blind.
Hypodermic syringes, stingers.
Our version of that would be called guns. But here we have the English breakfast and the continental breakfast.
Yes, that's
They're very different breakfasts that you can order here. If you want to think about the ways of being alive, I'm just so disappointed. Your senses came out, forget the Serengeti, just growing up. And the early universe is our best particle accelerator we know. I'd still rather it be the dog that sniffs the bomb than me. Period of time where Earth was being bombarded heavily, that's called the period of heavy bombardment.
But the surgeon is wielding an axe. And I mean,
So what do you, so there.
well, I'm all for...
And inchworms, what do they call them? They're not centimeter worms, right? Blob is classic. It's just, so that alien was a blob.
Yeah.
So nobody cares about your senses.
Yeah, I know. But what I do
That's because you didn't see the movie Bug's Life. You don't discover math under a rock. So I wonder if we're just blithering idiots. Are we as stupid as I'm saying? I don't know if I want to be the first one to shake hands or shake whatever they're sticking forward.
I don't see as many movies as you would see, because as you'll learn this evening, we are all Africans.
The words just, I'm not feeling them, you know? They jump in puddles, they pour water down your back. It's actually an expanding horizon. Because...
Let's go quickly through those both. We are evolved beings who evolved to understand
Rick and Morty.
interactions
The
between
humor is
medium-sized
extremely subtle.
objects moving at medium speeds.
And then people, so, and Earth, so, I'm off topic here.
Robots to do the sniffing.
It's a line from the Broadway musical, Phantom of the Opera, abandon yours. Never mind. Sorry.
I imagine my surgeon of the future being armed with a virtual, what do you call it, saw, one of those, what are those things you cut trees down with? Bandsaw.
Bandsaws, yeah. You have no clue what the magnetic field is around your body right now. You have no clue whether or not you're being bathed in ionizing radiation right now. But one of my favorite aliens ever was the Blob. It was just kind of interesting. But you started with our sensory organs and landed in the expanding universe. Can I take us back to the organs and then perhaps land in the universe?
Yes.
There's no one intelligent living today. And it would just kind of move along and it would grab onto you and suck out your blood and keep moving. So now, can we exploit the quantum world, however rare we might calculate it would be up here for life as we know it? Can we have a conversation with a chimp? I'm imagining you simply really don't care what the worm is thinking. In other words, you can have what's called a wave form, a wave function of a particle, and it's everywhere. You make a measurement, then the particle instantly shows up here, even though the wave had a probability of existing, the particle had a probability of existing over here. Subtract a few 100 million years at the beginning of Earth, when Earth was a shooting gallery. Say, hey, what movie do you want to see tonight? But you don't have that conversation with a chimp.
Bipedal, big-brained, language-toting, hand-toting.
Specifically cell phones, cellular cell phones.
You're not going to believe what I saw. There's a creature on that planet. No arms, no legs. Taking a cup of water, scooping up and saying, There are no whales in the ocean.
And the surgeon will actually feel herself to be inside the body of the patient.
And so now we have the very large tabletop version of the early universe, large and expensive, and it now allows us to test our ideas about what was going on. You got to get out more.
Those genes have been turned off, but they're still there.
Isn't that the premise of X-Men?
What they should be looking for is a stupendously improbable theory, an implausible theory.
You can't see the universe before it existed.
It's useful because you get spin-offs like non-stick frying pans, and it's wonderful.
Hi, Billy Mason!
You bring a dog, and their nose smells much better than your nose smells. And then he sticks a straw into the sphere and sucks it out, no receptacle needed. We're not even made of odd things. You can look at it as wreaking havoc in the house, or you can look at it as a long series of science experiments. And so what comes of this is you learn to abandon your senses. They stick a lot of things up you the last I've had. And I wonder, surely you've walked past a worm.
Thank you both for coming.
And I'm not saying that a tiny worm wouldn't work for physical reasons.
When it rains, he likes when it rains because the rain hits people. And I just thought that was an attempt to try to create some kind of way of being alive.
Yeah.
I'm screaming at you, I'm sorry.
Well,
next is nitrogen, next is other stuff. My favorite element, other, yeah. The 20th century came decade by decade.
for example, the difference between a furry moth and a leathery locust might be perceived as red versus blue.
Oh, this one is slightly smarter than the rest of them because he can do astrophysics calculations in his head. The most common things in the universe are found here on Earth, and we're made of them. There's bound to be one out there that we're hitting it right at the right time, that they are happy to have a conversation with us. Power lines might cause cancer. This goes way back. It's sad. However, let me make you happy. You'll eventually figure that out as limbs start falling off. But while it's happening, you actually don't know. No arms, no legs.